Welcome everybody to a special episode, first episode of the Gotta Be Legend podcast, hosted of course by Aliens and our co-host SHIB.
What's up, guys? I'm SHIB over on the website over at Gotta Be Legend. I'm the other part of this operation, and we're here to talk about the first topics on our podcast. First things first, we're starting sort of the whole thing right around E3 season. It was totally intentional, totally bombed with news. There's been a ton of things coming out.
A lot of shit
coming out in terms of E3, and really a different pacing, especially for us, especially for people who keep track of E3 every single year.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the announcements ahead of E3, because you know things start generally over the weekend before, but we started getting big news from Google and some smaller publishers. Not even then, just a week before.
Yeah.
So I mean, the first things that we wanted to look at in our first podcast was going to be rounding up everything that we saw at E3, looking at some of the things that have changed, because I would say this is the most different E3 we've had in many years.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen E3 in like 2 or 3 years because it's the same shit every fucking year, and a lot of dick teasing and nothing, right? So it's been pretty dead for the last few years, and then of course with Sony not being there and Nintendo doing their own thing, the ball was really in Microsoft's court. So it's a lot different this year, like Ship is saying.
So one of the things, especially with Microsoft, was that this was their conference to take, essentially, right? They're publishers like Sony and Nintendo, to some extent Nintendo because they still have a presence, but EA and Microsoft, like EA was just basically anywhere else. Sony wasn't even there. They didn't have any state of play. That was one of the predictions I had ahead of the E3. They were going to do a state of play, not even a week after or during the week, because they can just do that with these stream formats. But nothing, nothing at all. They went for just holding their ground, not sure about it. So with Microsoft's conference to take, they showed us a little bit of everything. That's kind of Microsoft's take. Usually they usually have a little bit of everything. They usually have the staples. There's always a Gears announcement. There's always going to be like a Halo announcement of some sort, right? This year it was kind of underwhelming with Halo Infinite, but now we know that it's going to be a launch title for the next console. We'll get to there.
I told you.
Yeah, you did tell me. I wasn't so sure. I did think there was a lot of teasing for the presentation ahead of E3. They were like, it's a next-gen game. It's going to have a completely different design process. That came from some developers at 343. They were saying that there's going to be a whole new design pipeline, that they can start making big changes. So we were all thinking, they want a piece of that Destiny pie, that they're going to come up. So, but before we get to Microsoft, the biggest thing ahead of E3 proper with Square Enix, Ubisoft, and Microsoft was going to be Google's Stadia Connect event. They wanted to show off to the masses, really, because we saw like a preview of the hardware at GDC, but that wasn't like a consumer-friendly presentation. Now they wanted to go all out and appeal to the gamers, to the people just going to buy the hardware. And with Stadia, I don't know. So the big thing about Stadia was that you're going to be able to play all the games that are basically out now, and all the
4K.
games, all the games that are planned. In terms of titles, we saw, Destiny 2 is going to be the big package. You buy the game, you get everything in Destiny. You buy the service, you get everything in Destiny 2. You're going to be able to move your character over, so that's a good commitment for people who've been playing long term. They can move their character over if you want. There's a couple caveats there. Like one of the weird things we heard about Destiny afterwards was that Google Stadia's player population is separate from the PC version of the game or any other version that matters. So there's no actual crossplay. That's something that Bungie's confirmed. There's no crossplay being implemented. There's only going to be like a way to move your characters around freely through the platforms. But I'm not sold that Stadia is going to have enough players on their own to necessarily warrant their own player base. Maybe they will. I'm not entirely sure what the gauged interest is in the platform. I'm not sure how many people are willing to have that sort of internet connection. Because you're going to need about, they had reported 25 megabits of download for 1080p at 60 FPS and 35 going up to 4K with 5.1 surround sound. Now, it's like about 15 MB download for 720p at 60 FPS, which might work for console players, particularly, if you're playing on like an Xbox.
Right.
You're already getting similar sorts of results on your console. But I do think it's a little weird, but it makes a lot of sense that Destiny is going to be on Stadia as its own sort of platform. and it's telling of what the hardware is going to be. They had announced at GDC that the system was completely open for crossplay, that they were planning on putting in crossplay games, and we didn't see any. Destiny 2 was that opportunity, I think, and I think Google kind of dropped the ball in not investing in any crossplay titles, because because we heard that at GDC. They said there's going to be crossplay, and they have games there that the developers actively want to implement crossplay. One of the games there is going to be Mortal Kombat 11. And we heard Ed Boon say, crossplay down the line would be an excellent stretch goal for the game.
It'll happen.
And, by all means, it really should happen for the health of the game if they plan on supporting it for a long time.
Well, not just for the game, but just for gaming overall. I mean, we live in a shared cloud environment now, right? So everything is accessible to everybody. So it's just a matter of time before, they open up the floodgates and, they finally let everybody play against each other. There'll probably be one sort of account you have to create, right, in order to, prevent people from having the same type of username or anything like that. But once that's been implemented, people will probably just log into that service or whatever they want to call it, and then everybody has their own unique ID, right? And then they can all play against each other. Doesn't matter what kind of system or console they're using. It's gonna happen for sure. It'll happen. I would say definitely by the next console generation, that's definitely going to be something they're going to push forward to, because you can't hide it anymore. There's already games that already have crossplay, like Rocket League and other games such as what else has that right now?
Fortnite has it.
Fortnite
of course, on
has
every
that.
single platform. Hi-Res Studios with things like Paladins and Smite is getting crossplay. I'm not sure if Smite has it yet. I know Paladins does. And one of the things about it, I think, is that it's critical, I think, for Google, because people are going to have to buy into this brand that nobody's familiar with. So I think it's really critical for their brand if they want to really keep this thing going.
Right.
It's not Google's habit to keep things going more than a few years at a time. So for them to want to put you on board on their platform and then leave it later, that's going to be kind of rough. Google's been a little rough with their platform support over the years. Now, I will include the links below for this video, for the podcast, of everything that we're talking about on our articles. One of the other things, the other announcements was going to be THQ Nordic made a couple of announcements ahead of E3. And that's interesting because they went from basically nobody. They had like a collection of IPs, and they started developing these games, and they started getting studios together, and they're starting to make it. They're making an interesting push. We haven't heard from THQ in a long time. This is not the same THQ as THQ Nordic. Apparently, there's a difference.
Yeah, because the original went bankrupt.
The original went bankrupt. That's right. So they have this brand, and they have 3 different games that they announced. Destroy All Humans was getting a remake. Check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. It's one of my favorite at E3.
That'd be nice.
It's one of the best, I think, trailers that came out of E3. Really, the Destroy All Humans remake. There's some gameplay out there. We'll try to cover it. There's a new Darksiders game.
Nice.
The Darksiders franchise is not big. This one looks like it's pretty big. It's going to be like a co-op twin-stick shooter with a lot of like Diablo elements.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be like a prequel to the whole game. It's being made by the original studio. The original artist founded a studio just to make the game. And that's really awesome for them. I think there's going to be a lot of spirit. This is probably going to be the best game, maybe their best commercial success, because like Darksiders 3 was kind of like in that Dark Souls type territory.
Yeah.
And people were kind of dismissing it for that reason, but this game isn't really anything like that.
Yeah.
The other crazy announcement was that SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom was coming back. That game was on PS2 back in the day.
Yo, I'm getting that shit.
And it was an interesting thing. They didn't show any gameplay for that one, actually. I don't know how far along that game is, but as soon as the gameplay comes out, I think it's going to be everywhere. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Fucking taking over Bikini Bottom
now. They're bringing it back. Yeah, they're really bringing it back. And that's awesome for them to stick to their roots, because especially now where these one-off IPs are coming out, you got your Anthems, you got your AAA cinematic games that come out. Yeah, right?
How did that go?
It didn't go well. So, like, as launching a brand, it's really cool for them to bring it back and really get their name out there. And, I'm looking forward to it. I just want to see what THQ Nordic is going to do. It's way more. And they did it way ahead of E3, which is interesting. Maybe just to kind of preempt everybody.
Yeah, it gives them their own news cycle.
Yeah, especially. They hadn't showed up at any of the conferences. They didn't show up at Microsoft, at Nintendo. They didn't have, Darksiders coming to Switch. Didn't show up at the Nintendo Direct. And, overall, they just kind of went ahead of everybody. Here's our games. Check them out. Big brands. It's really cool. It's really different, right? That's the kind of thing that Sony would have done. and they're just not here this year. So you see these publishers move around it.
Yeah.
Now, the meat and bones of E3 was EA Play was the first one.
Yeah.
We got a couple of interesting announcements.
Oh yeah. For Battlefield, Fortnite, Apex.
Apex was the big one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Season 2. FIFA 20. A lot of people are going to be excited for that. FIFA, as you know, even if you don't like soccer, man, people like FIFA.
People like FIFA, and it's interesting. You mentioned Fortnite because Fortnite did get an event over the weekend after E3. It was the second Pro-Am stream. You can check out the article that I wrote on it, analyzing some of the views, and apparently the hype has died down for those kind of events, so we'll see where the game goes up until later next year with the World Cup. But back to E3, one of the things was that Apex Legends Season 2 finally got announced. I think there's going to be huge expectations. There's already in-game events. There's like unannounced in-game events, but there's the dragons that are coming out of the sky stealing the death boxes. If you haven't done it, just log in, you'll see it. And ahead of Season 1, where the game did not move much, there was one weapon, there was one legend, there was just kind of like a mediocre battle pass. And it's funny because that was the way Season 1 was in Fortnite when they introduced the battle pass. It's obvious to make that comparison that the skins were a little weak. There was sort of like a very loose theme. They were just trying things out. But now the expectation is going to be so much more because of the way Season 2 is going to work.
Well, they got to do something because the player count was going down too.
Player count is definitely going down.
I mean, it definitely blew up when it first came out, but it slowly started going down towards the end and before E3. So this should reinvigorate the brand and the game. However, we do need to see what's going to occur because there's going to be other games being released soon that are going to at least entice players to purchase them instead
away
of
from
focus
the game.
on that. Yeah, like the new Modern Warfare remake, for example.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that grabs gamers' attention going into next year, and I really hope Apex Legends, the guys at Respawn, they're busy guys. They're working on Jedi Fallen Order, and overall, I'm just hoping that they add more in it throughout the game because they've already announced a weapon and a legend, but I genuinely don't want to see the season go by without another weapon or something new because one of the weapons that they're adding is new to Apex but old to Titanfall.
Yeah,
and that's kind of an interesting decision to pander to some of the people who've been playing Titanfall games because it's obviously one of the best FPS out there. Respawn did a great job on that series, but I definitely want to see the game come into its own because one of the things about being a Titanfall-based brand is that you expect things from Titanfall. You expect Titans. You expect, some of the mobility options. And the game hasn't moved in that direction. There haven't been, vehicles. There haven't been more mobility options. It's been very static. And overall, I'm looking forward to it. I'll check out the Battle Pass when it comes out. I'll try to see, what you can expect, what kind of changes. Maybe get some gameplay of the new Legend Watson. But, we'll see what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it'll have its own offshoot of Titanfall, but it definitely still needs its own identity.
It definitely needs an identity, and that's what I think is the biggest issue with the game right now. The other thing was FIFA 20. Now, between Aliens and myself, I don't play any sports games, guys. I'm gonna tell you, my favorite sports game is Mario Strikers, and I was impressed.
You remember Mario Tennis on 64?
Of course, bro. I still have Mario Strikers sitting in my GameCube back at home, and FIFA 20 looks really interesting. For the first time, I'm really like, wow, that's an interesting proposition. Yeah. And it really helps for yearly releases because this is not necessarily detracting from the game. This is they're gonna offer you the usual stuff for FIFA, professional, stadium-based modes.
And then Ultimate Team and all that stuff.
And Ultimate Team's gonna be back, but they're gonna bring in Volta Football, which is, if you guys haven't heard, is like a remix on the FIFA Street style. You're gonna be able to play in different formats. You're gonna play around the world. You can customize your avatars. You can bring your Ultimate Team in as street players. It looks really interesting. Check out our article on it.
It's like a 5v5, 4v4, 3v3.
Yeah, it's got stuff like that. It's got all the weird street formats. It's got no goalie format. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good remix.
It's got its own online component. It's got its own online leagues, which is something that people spend a lot of time with.
Oh yeah.
So overall, that's that's a crazy content value for the yearly release.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that they did drop the ball is that the Switch version is Legacy Edition, which, if you guys hadn't heard of that, they did that last year for FIFA on the 360 and PS3. I mean, I guess that's expected for the 360 PS3.
Yeah, I mean, it's been,
but this is going to
years?
be only a roster update for Nintendo Switch owners. So if you got 2K18 right now on your Switch, or 2K19 on your Switch, maybe don't try to look at a different console if you're looking to play Volta Football. It looks really interesting. I'm a little disappointed they would do that, especially considering the Switch isn't going anywhere anytime soon. There's no hardware announcements. There's a hardware rumor, but maybe we'll get to that later. But
maybe.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
And one of the things, so that was kind of the whole thing for EA. There was, Madden updates.
Yeah.
There was going to be NHL. They showed off NHL actually a couple of days ago. You can check out their Twitter. I'm sure they have more information.
Yeah.
Battlefront 2 is finally getting Clone Wars content. It's really interesting that the game has a post-launch support. There were no Anthem announcements.
Why would they even bother?
Yeah, one of the things that we hadn't reported at the time, and something I was reading, was that the executives of EA were interested in committing to Anthem in the long term. And I'm not sure.
That's what happened to Blizzard, remember? In Activision with Destiny, what happened with that?
Yeah, right. They got rid of the studio. No, they can't. I don't think they'll ever get rid of BioWare, right? In terms of like overall, like they need BioWare, right? That's not gonna happen. But that game's gonna die slowly. It's gonna be interesting to see them actually do any new content. It's been a rough ride for the game. One of our best stories is definitely one of our friends who pre-ordered.
Oh yeah,
who pre-ordered Anthem on the day. He told us it was awesome. He told it was against his, it was people's own fault for having expectations against the game.
We even asked him, hey, did it crash your PlayStation? Yeah, he said no. And then the next day, we asked him, hey, so how's Anthem? And then he complained about how it crashed his PlayStation.
Yeah, like his hard drive crashed, and he had to reformat the whole thing, and I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. So it's been a rough launch. Speaking of rough launches, we'll get to Bethesda in a minute, but Xbox. So Xbox was the big thing at E3 this year.
Oh yeah, and a lot of new developers, right? Microsoft went ahead and partnered and purchased a lot of studios, right?
Yeah, so they've been on a spending spree with that big Microsoft money. One of the things that I had heard...
Shout out to Bill Gates.
Yeah, right? Shout out to Bill Gates on the stream.
Send me some money.
That's right. So one of the things that had been kind of a take, like one of the takes I was reading on the internet about this was that Microsoft has no identity going into this E3, so they were just like, okay, here's a bunch of games, you tell us what you want to buy.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't think that's the decision you make when you don't go there for like one thing if you're basically standing alone at that level, because Microsoft is on the level of Sony and Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Bethesda, Square Enix, DHQ Nordic, and Google is not there yet for them to make announcements.
No.
They didn't even make any new announcements. So what do you really do? So for them, they had to come up with something. They had to just show up and just show us everything. They had to bring everything to the table, because ultimately nobody else was gonna show the same thing twice. That's one of the interesting things. If you look at this whole list of everything we saw, it didn't get repeated anywhere. Like maybe Borderlands 3, but only because we know the game is coming to Stadia. But nothing had been a repeat, and that's something that
I think Jedi was a repeat though.
Jedi was on stage. That might have been the only repeat. It was a repeat of the trailer.
Yeah,
you're right. So there was that one thing, but I mean that game's a blockbuster release. Like that's what you would expect.
You put Star Wars on anything, man, and that shit's gonna sell, man. You put Star Wars on coffee, motherfuckers gonna want to be drinking that, man.
Exactly. So I mean, like look at this list. Like I put together the list of everything, and I didn't even cover everything just because like there's just so much, and there's just some things like Bandai Namco's announcements that are kind of more niche. And they started with Outer Worlds. Yeah. Big Obsidian RPG. If you know Obsidian, you're probably already hyped for this game. Big Fallout style thing. Elden Ring got a cinematic trailer. People are fanboys of FromSoft in ways that are beyond my understanding. I really like them, but
I've liked them since Armored Core. Right?
Yeah, this guy's a big Armored Core fan.
So I don't know when they're gonna make a new one. So they need to do that.
They need to do an Armored Core. I was just thinking, Armored Core when, but what they showed a cinematic trailer. They kind of confirmed that it was that George R.R. Martin collaboration project that we were hearing about. Later on, we heard the developer say that it was going to be like an open world game. I think anybody who's played any Dark Souls game is going to know what this is. Anybody who's played Bloodborne, it's that kind of game. People just buy those things.
The type of game you pull your hair out.
Yeah, I think the only thing that might disappoint me is that like it's probably going to be a very good game in terms of writing. They might go very cinematic on this one, but it's ultimately going to be one of those similar genre type games, and it's like a good meal. It's underground. It's like a home cooked dinner,
Yeah, it's an underground kind of game, Yeah, it's good, but it doesn't get the publicity it might deserve,
It's gonna be big in the circle of people who would play it. It's gonna sell crazy, These guys, they always do. But I don't know. I'm hoping to hear more.
Yeah.
Borderlands 3 gets a release date. There's a free story episode for Borderlands 2 out now. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's still free. I have it. I'm gonna see if we can do a playthrough. Maybe get some content up.
Yeah.
Check it out if you can. If you've played If you haven't played Borderlands 2 in a while, there's a free DLC episode that lets you bridge the story to Borderlands 3. So, if you're thinking about buying it, Steam users beware. You can get the DLC there, but you're going to have to buy it on Epic Game Store for PC. That's just the way it is, my friends.
Yeah.
Let's not get to Cyberpunk yet. There was that Ninja Theory game, Bleeding Edge. It's like a gory Overwatch. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's one of the new studios that they purchased.
Yeah, it's one of those purchased studios, so they came out with this Overwatch style IP.
That was cool.
It's cool. We got to go over gameplay. That's probably one of those games that I go back and look at gameplay for, if anything. I know there were like closed door demos, but I'm hoping we see more. I know there's gonna be like a technical alpha, so we'll keep tabs on it. Double Fine was the big announcement for their last year. They announced they were buying a bunch of studios.
Yes.
They got Double Fine this year. Psychonauts 2 is still coming. It's still happening. It sounds like it's coming for next year.
Yeah. Or holiday, but more than likely, I would think by spring maybe.
There was no release date given, but previously, before they came out with the acquisition, it was going to be 2019. It sounds like it's 2020 now.
Yeah.
But we don't have an official release date. Battletoads, we finally saw it.
It doesn't
have a release date.
Doesn't matter.
And I don't know.
Want that.
People want it, but it looks strange. It looks like one of the first things I heard was it sounded like an Adult Swim game. It's got a cartoon style. It's really weird. I don't know what I expected. It's like it's like a Castle Crashers to me type art style, and that's cool. I don't know what I expected. The last time we saw the Battletoads was in Killer Instinct, and they had like a crazy 3D model, and they were Rash was big and buff, and so I don't know.
I like that.
It's just kind of like a big shock going in from like KI's big burly frog appearance.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Kakarot is the name of the Dragon Ball Z RPG being developed by the Cyber Connect 2 guys.
Holy
Those are guys who do.
That looks cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's being done by the guys who do Ultimate Ninja Storm for the Naruto games, which kind of sets your expectations. Those guys have been making so many Ultimate Ninja Storm games, and they're all kind of the same. Yeah. So I'm not expecting too much different. Cyber Connect 2, of course, another studio contributing on Xenoverse. So they're kind of like porting the Xenoverse formula to a more cinematic, to a story-based approach. Yes. As opposed to the multiplayer like PvE, like grind simulator of Xenoverse. That's a positive to me. I don't like Xenoverse. It was Fighter Z was my bigger game. And overall, it looks great. I'm not sold on the gameplay. I'm gonna have to just play it. It's probably one of those games that I just play.
That game's gonna be a hit, man.
It's definitely gonna be a hit.
It's gonna be a hit ever since, because you gotta remember when the movie came out earlier. I believe it was earlier this year. I think it was, or late last year. I mean, that movie really opened the door right to all these different markets, right? And it's gonna become more of a household name. Like Dragon Ball has been around for 30 years already. So I'm telling you, man, that movie, it's gonna be the starting point of the new phase of Dragon Ball. So this game is going to be a success.
Yeah,
for sure, it'll be a success. Especially if they release another movie around the time this game comes out.
I do want to see
the best thing they could do.
I do want to see them do movie DLC. I know Cyber to Connect, like Xenoverse 2 has had a huge update support. It recently, had a sale. It's gotten a free to play version. It's been a big game. So these guys are gonna probably push a lot of content. They're probably gonna add a lot of things post launch. So it's gonna be an interesting story for the game.
Yeah.
Gears had a ton of things. So before we get to Cyberpunk and Halo, there was Gears of War 5, which is now called just Gears 5, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's got like an escape mode where you like design a dungeon and then you have to like have 3 people escape it. Kind of like a reverse horde mode, I guess.
Not feeling it, man.
I don't know. Like, I just feel like where is the game apparently sells well enough that they keep making them, right?
Well, I mean, it's a baby, man. It's kind of like, it's not Halo, obviously, right? It's not Microsoft's baby like Halo is, but it's the little brother, you know. It's the next one in line.
It's the next one, yeah.
You know, just like Forza, you know, but it's a little different because Forza, right, is a simulation, genre, right? Yeah. It's like a simulation arcade.
Forza, one of the things we didn't report on that is Forza is getting a Lego expansion pack.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting Lego cars. It's cool. I mean, like, I feel like people who like Forza are probably having a great time playing Forza.
Exactly.
It's been a while since I've played any racing sims. My favorite one's going to be Gran Turismo 4 for the PS2. And it's just, I'm sure Forza fans are having a blast. It's just not a game that I've gotten into. But yeah, power to you guys who've been playing Forza for the years and years that it's been on Xbox. Yeah,
Forza's been huge for them, but it's not blockbuster like Halo would be or like Gears would be. You know, I mean, everybody remembers the Mad World trailer for the original, right? I mean, that was a beginning, man, and the first one was amazing. The second one wasn't that good, and the third one was pretty good. I have the fourth one, but I mean, after the third one, I guess it just kind of lost.
It fell off the radar, especially given
it lost its.
I think that happened
value,
with Microsoft's reputation in general around the time after Gears 3. Microsoft was in sort of a declining reputation. PS3, PS4 era started beginning.
Right.
And overall, I mean, Gears 5 is probably going to be interesting. We know it's going to be on Game Pass, so if you get a chance to get on Game Pass, you'll definitely get the game. You can try it out. We might try it out through that means. We'll see. We've been talking about Game Pass for the couple
Oh man, I got a lot to say about Game Pass.
I know you do. So let's try to get to. Let's get through a couple of other things. Cyberpunk.
Oh, by the way, Terminator is coming to Gears 5.
Terminator coming to Gears 5. That was the other thing. I totally forgot. Terminator coming to Gears 5. There was a different one. What was it? Terminator's coming to
Mortal Kombat.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Uh-huh.
The next Ghost Recon is getting a Terminator Cosmo, and then the big one is we think Terminator's coming to Mortal Kombat.
He's coming, bro.
We think it definitely looks like it. The data mine a little while back gave us the dialogue. Bro. We know.
Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Get ready.
It's gonna be awesome. So Cyberpunk was the big thing.
That was hot.
It was hot.
That was hot. I like that.
Keanu Reeves is in the game. He's like your sidekick.
Keanu's weird, man. Keanu, he's like when you see him on the stage, like it says so like he soaks in all the energy in the room like without even trying. Like he's
extremely charismatic guy,
like
and just the way that he shows up.
His presence is so, how can you say? I don't want to say empowering, but it's so
very commanding.
Yeah, like
the way he stood on stage,
and it's not like he's trying to be difficult. No, he's just being himself, and it's just natural. It's organic, man, and I liked it. I thought it was funny. It was just him being himself, man. He was even telling the crowd that they needed to stop cheering. Because he needed to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best comments
only he could do that,
One of the best comments out of him was later on. He said that video games will really need validating from blockbuster things, and he says that being, basically the cover actor for this game, which is cool. I mean, I guess somehow you can prove that point by doing the opposite. But overall, Cyberpunk is obviously a huge project.
Yeah.
It's a huge cinematic project. Everything they've shown us so far has been cinematics. There's been a little gameplay demos from last year. So overall, this game is going to be, I think, a change in the way... Maybe not necessarily a change,
and
but
it's just going to be
No, absolutely not.
It's not, right?
No, absolutely not. It's not exclusive to anything.
Because I was thinking about also Death Stranding with our boy Norman, right?
Death Stranding. I think Death Stranding is going to be a very specific type of game, though. But those are big games with big, blockbuster action, action.
Yeah, and guest appearance, really. I mean, they're making this game or these games with the likeness of actual famous people, and they kind of fit the personality of the game, not just by their conduct, right, but also their appearance. Right, you see Keanu Reeves in the trailer, and he's got his long hair, the beard. He looks like he's in Mad Max.
He looks really awesome.
He looks like he's in Mad Max or something.
A crazy job on him. It's like there's no question that everybody's gonna be playing the game. Huge expectations. I'm hoping that
CD Projekt Red, right?
Yeah, CD Projekt Red. I'm hoping that the game has extensibility in the future. I'm really hoping like for this game to be the Skyrim of 2019 in terms of like post-game support through modding and just extra content and stuff you can do, that's gonna be the dream. I think like this game is gonna be like even if it's Witcher 3, where the game is just remembered for being a kick-ass campaign. I'm hoping that CD Projekt comes as like some sort of mod support.
It'll happen.
That's my big expectation as a PC gamer. The other small announcement that really got me, the thing that got me personally,
Flight Simulator, yo.
Flight Simulator was totally there and it was amazing.
That was cool. I liked it.
I was like, all right, cool, yeah, Flight Simulator, awesome. That's what you can do when Sony's not there. You can just be like, here's my Flight Simulator. Here's my game. Here's that game that you want to buy, and it's on Game Pass. You know what? You subscribe, you get Flight Simulator, boy.
Yo,
it's interesting. The other big announcement for me personally was Phantasy Star Online 2 coming to NA only in 2020. I'm going to be able to play it. That it's insane, and I think it says something about like Xbox's long-term plans in terms of back compatibility. Because you gotta think, you gotta understand the scale of this game in Japan. It's on PS4.
It's the number one over there, no?
I'm not sure. Like next to Dragon Quest X as the two big Japanese, Korean MMOs that are just not in the West.
That's right.
The thing about it is that this game, it doesn't make sense in terms of like the last year. This is the essentially last year of Xbox One, right? And this game is kind of like a hint at what they're planning on doing. You got to consider that this game came out about 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's been free to play for about 7-8 years, I think.
Right.
It's been on mobile phones. It's not a graphically amazing game by any means. It's been on mobile phones in Japan.
That's why
it's been on PS4 in Japan. It's gotten multiple disc releases in Japan.
That's why some games' graphics don't even matter, man.
But this game is bigger than that. That's what I'm saying. This game is bigger than... This game is like World of Warcraft. It's bigger than any specific platform. I mean, World of Warcraft isn't on consoles, obviously. But this game is even bigger than that in terms of hardware scale. It's on anything they want it to be.
Accessibility, man. People want to be able to play on what they have.
Exactly. And, this is a full crossplay game. This game is like Final Fantasy XIV in the way that like console and PC share the same version.
Yeah.
One of the crazy things is that this game is coming out in the last year of Xbox One lifetime, and this is a game that has lasted about a decade at this point. So it doesn't care about the last year of a console. Why would it?
It's not going to matter because it's going to be available on whatever
whatever
they call
Scarlet, right?
Yeah.
So now you talk about Scarlet. Like it's obviously the initiative for them to have games that a software platform that overarches any specific hardware. You have to consider, and one of the stealth announcements, you guys, that Microsoft had, stealth announcement, was that the last two games coming to backwards compatibility for Xbox 360 to Xbox One was Ashura's Wrath and Too Human. Those were the two games. And they announced alongside that any future back compatibility is going to be delayed until Scarlet comes out. They're going to be launching on Scarlet. So they're going to take from here until next year to make more of those back compatibilities. So what does that really mean? One, 360's coming.
This is what I think. I think they're going to make that shit cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you saw Project X Cloud was getting a demo.
Yeah.
We don't have enough details. It's really not as detailed as Stadia, so I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
That's probably going to get more information coming like next year, or maybe they'll do another stream. But ultimately, they're making a software platform where these things just don't care about the hardware. Xbox One games, they already have porting processes for PC, so that's going to be on Scarlet. I wouldn't be surprised if going into Scarlet's compatibility, they say, hey guys, buy Scarlet, play every single game you own on the Xbox One and everything in our Xbox 360 back compatibility.
Or even the original,
and new games coming all the time.
And I think it can happen. I mean, if anybody can pull it off, I mean, it's Microsoft. It's a software company, man. So if anybody could do it, it's them.
If anybody could, and that's something that I had mentioned to one of my friends about PS5, right? Like if they go in the direction of backwards compatibility for PlayStation, they're gonna lose the fight, I think.
It's going to be hard because
Xbox is already there. They spent years and years and years doing this. At this point.
Direct Xbox. I mean, that's what it's called. It's DirectX.
Yeah, it's going to be this crazy hardware platform that they have to compete with. And the only thing I think that Sony would really do is just come out with new exclusives. They can do that, but if they want to compete on a backwards compatibility level, it's just not the same.
Yeah, and then the only thing that Sony could do is, I mean, at least for backwards compatibility on the PS5 with PS4 is the x86 architecture, right? Because the cell, it's going to be hard. I mean, that was a PS3, and it's a whole different beast. So they got to figure out a way on how to port those games so they can function properly on x86 hardware. So, we got to see what the hell is going to happen with that, right? And then PS2, that's another challenge right there, and so is the original PlayStation. So we got to see how they're going to be able to mix that up and emulate those games so they function properly on the new system. Xbox is ahead of the curve in that sense because the games are DirectX.
The games are already there, and that's kind of the thing. I'm looking forward to the next. I'm really hoping that Sony doesn't pivot towards back compatibility for the PS5, just because that's going to be the losing fight.
They need it. If they don't, if they
they're gonna do it, but I'm hoping that's not it, right? Like I'm hoping that's not the single point. Like you get PS5 games and then you can go back and play PS4.
That's not good.
It's gonna be weak. That's gonna be really weak. That's not good.
So, what about X Pass? The Game Pass.
So Game Pass. So
fuck
you had
Game
an
Pass,
issue
man.
with Game Pass, bro.
Fuck Game Pass. If you're hearing this, Microsoft, fix your fucking shit.
Yeah. So
I'm fucking trying to download the Xbox app, right? The beta installer, right, for PC, right? Because right now, if you want to get the Game Pass, you
gotta
can get it
their
for,
updates
and you get it for $1 right now, right? And then it's I believe
$1.
$5 a month.
Yeah.
Which is cool, right? I mean, that's very affordable. I mean, 5 times 12 is 60, right? So
$60.
That's the price of a game. So that's great. But I try to get this game. I not that game. I try to get the app to work on my computer. It tells me I gotta go ahead and update my Windows 10 because it only runs on Windows 10, right?
Only Windows 10, yeah.
So I'm trying to do this, and I'm downloading the update. Cool. It starts installing, and then I just happen to notice that this is taking forever. And forever is an understatement. I get to about 95% installed, right? And literally every increase in percentage from 95, right? If you go up 1%, it's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood up till maybe about 1 in the morning. It was going 98 to 99. So I'm just there sitting, hoping that, it'll finish. So if it asks me to restart my computer, if it prompts me to do that, I can just do it. Cool, turn off the computer and go to bed. So I'm just sitting there looking at the screen, saying 99% for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what the fuck's going on? So I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna go to bed. I go to bed. I wake up, take the computer off sleep mode, and the shit is still at 99%. Mind you, that was 7 hours later. What the fuck is going on, Microsoft? Fix your shit.
I told this guy, because we were talking about it, we should really cover the Game Passes. I'm like, I heard people have been having issues with that installer, bro, and what do you know, it happened to us. So, I mean, we'll probably talk about it in detail when we get a chance to work it out. But hear us that we've been having issues with the Game Pass. Be warned if you're interested in it. Like, I hope you have, time to spare to set up.
I mean, even if you have time to spare, I mean, how much time do you need me to spare if I'm going to sleep and I wake up and this shit's still at 99?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Fix your shit, Microsoft.
And this guy's got like a render farm computer, so I don't really know what the issue is. But so that was kind of it from the Microsoft conference. The other thing was Halo. Halo got that cinematic trailer. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm disappointed.
I thought it was nice. It was cool.
I'm not with it. I don't like it.
I just don't know what that guy in the trailer is really gonna be doing.
It's nothing.
In the game.
That's the thing.
Or he's just a placeholder.
It's it's setting the scene for the story, and that means a lot to people who follow the story, I guess.
Well, I haven't played Halo since 3.
But that's the thing, right? A lot of people in the Halo franchise have been kind of out of it. So, obviously the big thing to bring people back to Halo has been the Master Chief Collection. We heard flighting begins next week.
For PC, yeah.
I told this guy flighting for next week. We're signed up. We're going to see what happens.
Pick me.
Please,
damn it.
Give us the stream, give
I
us the
play
content.
That. I want to play that because, there's nothing really out right now that I'm really, really playing aside from, Mortal Kombat, which just got some DLC, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I got Borderlands because they had the Handsome. I think what was it, the Handsome Collection?
The Handsome Collection on sale.
That was on sale. I think I got
going back to that.
What was it, like $7 or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it's on sale all the time now.
It was super cheap. So I was fucking around with that, and yeah, I mean, aside from that, I had Resident Evil earlier in the year. That was a great game. Hopefully they added something to it, or at least they announced Resident Evil 3.
Nemesis. Nemesis is the big
because that's the rumor that. With some aspects of the second game, right, the remake, with some walls that were, obviously tore down.
Yeah, some events that obviously hinted at the plot of Nemesis that were there. I mean, originally,
yeah,
but
absolutely. So they're leading us into that already, right? So I really do believe that we might see Resident Evil 3 Nemesis no later than 2021. And I definitely do believe that it's going to be available right after the next console launch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not
I
like
think
next
so.
gen. Yeah, I think Capcom in particular with Monster Hunter Iceborne being there,
Yeah.
their emphasis going into this year, they're definitely working on next gen.
Yeah, especially with
One of
the
the speaking of Capcom, just like a slight aside, Yoshinori Ono, I hope I didn't watch that, the producer of Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 had told us that there was announcements at E3 and nothing happened. And that's a little bit of a shame.
I mean, how's he going to compete with Mortal Kombat right now? I mean, don't get me wrong, Mortal Kombat has its problems.
Anything would be better than what's going on right now for Street Fighter 5.
But Mortal Kombat, I mean, yeah, they had its hiccups when it got released.
But it's been better. And for perspective, we played
Game's
Mortal
good.
Kombat on PC and we had a rough launch. Console not so much, right? But the game is in the best spot it's ever been. It's been great.
Yeah.
And
Q-Lock has been doing a great job.
Q-Lock, Shiver,
yeah,
doing great.
They've been doing a great job keeping up with the DLC updates and all updates, right? I mean, the first update did take a little bit. It took like 4 days, I think it was.
Took a couple of days, yeah. It took about a little less than a week to get us up to date.
But since then, they've been pretty solid. I mean, what is Street Fighter gonna do? I mean, I really do think, and like I told SHIB, a few months back, I think the next Street Fighter is gonna be a launch title for Sony, right? Because remember, 5 was a game that was practically backed by Sony.
It was backed by Sony, yeah, everybody knows
for
that.
PS4 and PC, and they had the cross-play,
Yeah,
and it worked. So at least for me, it did, right? So
yeah, it works.
I personally believe if Sony wants to really, because it's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard for Sony to really, counter Xbox with the Halo release, right? Because it's coming out with Infinite.
Yeah, I mean the game's obviously
hard.
going to be a launch title for Scarlet. I'm really hoping for more. This is just not. I really don't like hearing about Microsoft's franchises over and over, and we're going to get to that with Bethesda because they did something similar for me.
Yeah.
I really don't like hearing about these trailers. I really don't like hearing about these little teases every single year at these E3 shows. It's just not giving me any confidence in the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's coming, right? What can you say? That's kind of the thing about it. That's maybe what left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, all right, well, it's coming.
So I'm telling you, I think if I'm Sony, I launch the PS5 with a full version of Street Fighter 6.
Oh yeah.
If
I don't think they're ever going back to the way Street Fighter 5 has been handled.
No. They need to
really fix the franchise in terms of content updates and a more traditional method. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with the way fighting games have been implementing DLC. You're like Samurai Showdown is coming out and it's gonna have a season pass. It's just a standard affair and nobody's really against it. So
fighting games will never die.
I'm hoping that going into the next few months, maybe we'll hear something about Street Fighter, maybe something about Marvel vs. Capcom.
Well, I actually just saw. I think.
Oh no, God, please.
MVC3 is on Game Pass.
You know what it is? Marvel vs.
PC.
Capcom Infinite is on Game Pass.
No, I think I saw it yesterday.
Is it? I know. I saw Infinite being.
I saw the list.
We'll check it out, folks. But
I think it's right there actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, check that out.
Sure? Let me see.
It's around there.
I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah, it's. I saw it. I know I saw the name. So
I'm not sure.
I definitely do think UVMC3.
I mean, yeah, but that
game's
game's on Steam. You can get it if you want it. But that's kind of like a different situation, right? I'm just hoping that they come out with a new game. That's gonna be my expectation.
I don't know.
I don't want to hear any more DLC. I don't want to hear any more updates. I want a new game.
I just want to see. It's time. I want to see Marvel versus DC.
Yeah, you
I
tell
don't
me
want to
about
hear
these all the time, but
I don't want to hear it.
I want to know what the logistics would be, and maybe I just feel like Marvel coming into its own in terms of cinematic presentation, and we'll get there with Avengers.
Oh, I think the reason it hasn't happened, honestly, is because of all the rights that that Sony had, right? With
maybe
with Spider-Man, and then Fox with
X-Men.
X-Men, I'm pretty sure a lot of that had to do with it. Now that Disney, I think, purchased Fox.
They own Fox.
So,
they got
that's not going to be a
rights, so
problem
gonna be part of
anymore.
the MCU.
Licensing is not going to be a problem anymore. And you need to have that if you're going to make a Marvel game. Because it's not just Avengers, it's Marvel. And Marvel also is X-Men.
And that's going to be the big expectation for the next Marvel game. It's one of the better things about Ultimate Alliance 3 coming to Switch in the next few days. It's going to be, I believe, the next month. It's going to be basically focused around the X-Men with the Avengers available. It's not going to be like this movie-centric event.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. Now, I do want to say that a lot of stuff was hit or miss at every other conference. Bethesda, Ubisoft, Square Enix, big hits in some areas, big misses in others.
Ubisoft, all they do is miss. I don't fuck with them.
I heard. I mean, I think the thing was the press came away impressed with Watch Dogs Legion.
Fuck Watch Dogs, man.
It's not been a strong franchise.
It's not a strong franchise.
It really isn't, and just to see, I mean, the best way to do this really is to talk about stuff we liked, really. So I mean, looking at stuff we liked from each presentation, we talked about Xbox. Phantasy Star Online 2 was my biggest announcement. Was my personal hype moment, my moment of satisfaction.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think the big thing everybody liked was Final Fantasy VII's presentation. Knocked it out of the park.
I'm not even big on Final Fantasy that much. I maybe in my life I've probably played 3 hours of it. I never grew up playing those type of games. But I saw the footage, and I'm impressed. I think it looks fun.
Like a game that's going to bring people into the franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
The presentation is immense.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah,
I'm not even a Final Fantasy guy, but
it's definitely a game that just people who play action games are going to want it.
Yeah.
And Avengers was not so great, in my opinion. We'll get
nice.
there. It looked all right. It kind of advertised itself as a different game. And I talked about this in the article. I'll link it in the description. That we had been promised something very different.
Right.
We had been promised a multiplayer action game. We heard it was going to be in co-op with 4 teams. We heard it was going to be about the Avengers, obviously, right? And we expected this game to be... It was described as a multi-year partnership with Square Enix, and we just, everybody's mind rushed to what Destiny 2 is, what The Division is. These live service games, right?
Right.
That generate income and just bring big expansions, and that makes so much sense in the concept of the Marvel IP. There's just so much, so many storylines that really there's no reason that didn't happen. It's now like a God of War Uncharted style affair where you have more static combat and everybody has their own skills, and it's gonna be like more simple single player affair. Yeah, that's interesting. I want to talk about it on the stuff maybe we didn't like because I do feel like there's debate as to what we were given. But I think FF7 stole the show there, obviously, in comparison to Avengers. I think Avengers did not hold the candle of FF7 in terms of
no, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge, man.
It's going to be huge.
Game-changing, for sure.
PC Gaming Show probably had the best announcements for me, personally. It's usually not something people watch, but for people who are invested in games that are popular on PC, this was probably the best one, I think. Terraria, game's been like 10 years now. If you're still playing out there, you're getting a huge update with 800 items. 800 items. That's more than double of what. That's more than there is in the game right now. And the game's had 10 years of support. And this is going to be the second to last expansion coming into the game. Mm-hmm. It's been about 10 years of free updates. It's amazing value. It's one of the best games out on the market for PC. And that was a cool announcement. Unfortunately, they cut the trailer short or something. It was like a tech error. It was really weird. And the other thing was. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is the second one, is coming out in 2020, Q1. Sounds like a March, February, April start date. That's really crazy in the face of Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII. But people are gonna want this. It's something that everybody's like, all right, bring it on, Vampire. We love this game. And then we got Chivalry 2 and Shenmue 3 are gonna be the two announcements that were kind of controversial. Chivalry 2, in the face of Mordhau, is very difficult to conceive. And now that Chivalry 2 is going to be on the Epic Games Store exclusively, they're not going to be competing on the same platform as Mordhau. That makes sense, but Mordhau's a big game. Yeah. I don't see it dying on just because this game comes out. Especially if the developers can keep to the content base. And the first thing they did for the game was add a new map, so I think that game's going to have a long life. And Shenmue 3. So I wrote in the article I posted the other day that this is going to be about 5 years starting next year. When we saw that next to Final Fantasy VII Remake. We saw that game, Dreams, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. All in the same E3 conference at Sony.
Yeah.
And
last year, right?
That was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years
That
ago.
was 5
already?
years ago. That was 4 years ago. It's gonna be 5 years.
Holy shit.
2015 is when we saw Final Fantasy VII Remake, Shenmue 3, and Dreams.
That
Dreams
was
is
that
out.
long ago?
Final Fantasy VII, yeah,
Where
has
did
a
the
launch
time
date
go?
for next year, and this game is coming out like this year.
I thought that shit was last year. It felt like last year.
Yeah, right. It's been so quick.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the presence of Sony at E3. You know what I'm saying? That's how big they've been.
Yeah.
And the game is coming out finally. It looks like after many delays on Epic Game Store as well as an exclusive, and that's kind of crazy. The developers are starting to say that they're going to reconsider it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a wild ride for games that have been funded on Kickstarter. This is a Kickstarter funded game that went exclusive to Epic Games. Phoenix Point, for people who've been playing XCOM, right, was a similar type of game. Big Kickstarter funded game.
Right.
The developers switched to Epic Game Store, went back on their promises. It's tarnished the idea of funding a game on Kickstarter at all, you know? So, I mean, I'm hoping they go back on the decision. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Shenmue. Maybe I'll play it if they bring it back to Steam. I'm not interested in doing the Epic Game Store exclusivity.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to consider the platform. I'm just not someone who would buy things from there. And overall, the PC gaming show was a little stronger this year. I think they had a little bit bigger brands.
I mean, I really think from here on out, I think a lot of gamers, I mean, it happened with me. I mean, I still own a PlayStation 4. I got it when it first came out, but it's not even connected.
Yeah,
right?
so
why? Because as I've grown older, you know, I've just made that transition to PC, and I think PC is going to be the next place. Like, it's always been there, but, you know, everybody, when they think of gaming, for the most part, they're like, hey, do you have a PlayStation or a Nintendo or this and that? Nowadays, the roles are gonna change.
People consider PC a lot more.
The roles are definitely changing, and you know, you'll see, especially with this exclusive stuff, you know, and you know, all these different storefronts. Watch. I'm telling you, it's going to change. They're gonna start implementing crossplay so people can play against people on PC more.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
going to
it's
change
gonna be, it's
because
gonna be
everybody is
part
going
of
to be going
part of the
PC.
crossplay move is probably going to be centering people on PC.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things is now that's maybe the stuff we liked, except for the last few things about PC gaming. Let's talk about stuff we didn't like. Let's be a little pessimistic for a minute. What did you not like? What is something that you saw and you said, I don't like it?
I would say Madden, honestly. I mean, they had you know, this new feature where they have special abilities practically now. Some players have special ability, which is pretty interesting. But I mean, Madden for me, Madden. Listen, people that buy Madden are people that
don't have any expectation.
Number one, you know, they're definitely gonna watch as many games as they can on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays, right? So, to me, Madden, we need competition. Put it that way.
We need competition. We need Koei Tecmo Bowl back.
We need fucking, you know.
I mean, I think my expectation is that when is Madden going to get its Volta football moment, right? When is it going to reinvigorate?
Yeah, that would have been smart if they would have implemented something like that, right?
Because I mean, like NBA, like NFL Street was a thing.
Oh, it was big, and people loved NFL Street.
It's definitely there. You know, there's a precedent.
But the thing is, like, the problem with all these type of sports games is the same. You know, every year, you know, a minor adjustment here and there, and you know, they'll add this, they'll add a little new feature, and here, have fun for the next, have fun for the next year. You know.
So yeah, it's a little disappointing. I mean, I don't think anybody has a lot of expectations for Madden as a series.
No.
I'll talk about things I didn't like, and I was showing you this before we did the podcast. Bethesda's conference was easily the worst I've seen it in years. I always watch the Bethesda conference.
That's pretty bad.
It was really bad. And I will say,
but Doom is nice.
Doom Eternal is nice, but I think even the things that were good, kind of left the bad taste in my mouth. I had told somebody else that one of the things about Doom Eternal being there is that the game just needs to come out. Like, what do we want for the game to come out?
When was the game supposed to release?
I don't know.
September?
I don't know.
The game is done, for sure.
The game is done. Yeah, I don't even know what the release date is. Like, that's how big it's been. It's been coming soon. And the point is that the game is coming out about this year. Yeah, November 22nd. It's coming out this year. And
that's too far. They need to push that up if it's done.
I mean, even if it's not done, I just feel like you can't judge the Bethesda conference based on Doom Eternal. You really can't. I don't really think you can. It's just not something that. It's like if Xbox had shown up with. It's like Xbox showing up and their big presentation was Gears
or Fable,
or not even Fable. Like Fable would have been a new IP, but I'm saying like this game, we known about it. It's happening, right?
Yeah.
They showed some cool stuff, lots of footage. Just put out the game. So I really don't feel like
put out some sort of demo or something.
I just feel like if you have to make an objective view of Bethesda's conference, you have to remove Doom Eternal from the equation. You can't look at the presentation on an objective scale without being like, okay, Doom Eternal.
Right.
Doom Eternal's coming out, you know? Like
well, I mean that's all I cared about.
Yeah, that's all people care about, but that's the thing.
Else.
If you remove it,
you got nothing.
You got nothing. And Bethesda did that thing that I don't like. But let's get to that last. Did something I really don't like, and they started with Fallout 76 getting actual NPCs, getting quest lines, getting factions, getting a battle royale mode that's actually available now.
Battle royale doesn't work for all games.
Now I've heard the opinion that it's a very solid implementation, especially from big streamers. I feel like maybe it's just hyperbole because they just want to poke fun at the brand, but I don't know. It's very crazy to see these games be so committed through the next few years. It's like, what are they gonna do? I feel like this is the consequence of these AAA failures. Like yeah. They have no choice. I think they can't genuinely say we're just gonna make something else.
You know why? Because shareholders want to make money, man.
They want to make money. Yeah, I think shareholders have put people in the corner, and not everybody's been able to do it. I mean, Destiny 2 is doing it. They're on the come up. It really
they had to, man, because Bungie's reputation had already been damaged with the first game. The game was, it was supposed to be a 10-year project across 3 games.
And it was one game.
And you had your boy Peter Dinklage, and that shit happened. Game went to shit. The game released with practically no story. By the way, Gotta Be Legend started because of Destiny. That was one of the first games we started streaming.
And right? And we have the experience.
So I've played Destiny, and that game, it had the potential for sure. I mean, it even still does, right? But the problem is, number one, story's been fucked up for a while, right? I haven't really played 2 as much because it's the same grind, then you reach the cap and then there's not much left to do endgame wise, right? It gets very, very repetitive and it gets boring. So, at least now with the fact that, Bungie and Activision Blizzard have decided to break the contract, right? And now Bungie is fully in charge of the game. Now they have the ability to take the game in whatever direction they want, right? They don't have to, chop it up and sell it as parts, right? Like what Blizzard was,
They're going to put it on Steam. Doing. They're going to give you a free version. They're going to sell standalone expansions. You're going to be able to play Shadowkeep without having to purchase any of the year 2 content.
Get that
And that's
game.
Smart. That's extremely smart. It's going to be $35. That's a great price point. Like, if you want to play one of the biggest shooters at the moment for $35, like what a value, right?
I'm calling it right now. The Destiny hype train is back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you better
I heard
get
recently that one of the websites that keeps track of statistics on player counts had recently reported Destiny 2 peaking 1 million concurrent players. That's insane.
It's gonna happen.
But it makes a lot of sense.
Get on the train before you get left behind because the hype train is back.
Yeah, big thing. So, I mean, there were a lot of things for Bethesda that I didn't like. Fallout 76.
Fuck that game.
I didn't like. I really don't like the Elder Scrolls Online getting cinematic trailers.
Never been into it. Elder Scrolls.
It's a very strange practice because the thing is that if Blizzard had gone up and done that for World of Warcraft at like BlizzCon, people would be a little upset. I think.
Hey Blizzard, show me some Diablo 4. Damn
show us Diablo 4. Yeah, while we're at it. But the thing is that these cinematic trailers serve no purpose. It did the same thing with a couple of games that we're gonna get to.
Well, it's teasing, man.
It's just teasing. The game's out. It's gonna get content updates. I don't know. It was very boring. Amazingly, they announced a mobile game for Commander Keen. Now, if you know anything about Commander Keen, it's very weird to see that. I mean, you can do anything you want with a brand, but it just feels like it's gonna go nowhere. It's such a weird way to use the brand. People who obviously have any love for the franchise are understandably upset. I I was in Reddit the other day, and Tom Hall, one of the programmers on the original Commander Keen, was very vocal about the fact that he hates it. And that's kind of the overall opinion on it. So there were other little announcements like Elder Scrolls Blades getting a Switch port. I find that very strange. There was Wolfenstein Youngblood. I believe it's coming out in the next few days, like next week. So those games kind of, I don't even want to talk about them. They're just going to come out.
Well, they've been releasing a lot of Wolfenstein lately, so I think they're trying to...
they've definitely revitalized that franchise.
Yeah, they definitely want, the new generation to get familiar with the title and everything like that, but, you got to watch out when you do that, because then you start juicing the franchise and then it loses its value, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. So we will have to see how Youngblood does critically. I'm not sure how it's going to do. It seems like it's going to be, if it's anything like the first two Wolfensteins, it's definitely going to...
Yeah, it'll be. I would consider it a success, but you got to be careful, man, because you're starting to juice it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they ended off the presentation before they got to Doom Eternal with 2 trailers. Cinematic trailers for Deathloop, which is their kind of like Groundhog Day style shooter being made by the Dishonored crew. It's about two protagonists who seem to want to kill each other every single day, and if one kills the other, then they wake up and like the next day and do it all over again. And
seems interesting.
That's
Maybe
interesting.
Related,
and then the other one was Ghostwire Tokyo, being made by Tango Gameworks, the guys who did Evil Within, Shinji Mikami's team, of course.
Like some Rapture sort of game.
Yeah, like a Rapture type game with a very interesting cinematic trailer. Look, the thing is that this is the thing that I don't like. I'm going to hear about this game next year. And I might even hear about it the year after that. I'm never going to stop hearing about these games, These expensive trailers, and that Deathloop trailer was really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't mean anything to me.
No, they're just teasing.
They should just put it out when they're ready, honestly. They should show us gameplay when they're ready. I mean, the Dishonored crew does not need to be vindicated at this point. They have shown us that they can do inventive, creative gameplay. Solid creative gameplay, right? For first-person shooter genre. That's probably what this game's going to be. Yeah. Now, I just don't want to see it. If you ask me, I don't want to see cinematic trailers for these games.
Well, that's a problem.
I just think overall, like, the disappointment is that the real announcement was Fallout 76 as a battle royale, and everything else was just fluff, right?
Well, that's the problem with E3. I mean, E3's been that way for years. I mean, they dick tease you with the trailer, and then you're waiting until next year, hoping that they release some footage.
But I do think Microsoft kind of avoided that this year with certain exceptions, like Elden Ring.
Well, they had to.
Yeah,
they had to. They couldn't get away with that anymore because you're the only big one there. So I mean, you
like
have to show
Xbox,
something.
like Halo Infinite, Deathloop, Ghostwire. Like, I'm gonna hear about it next year at E3. I'm gonna hear about it at holiday season. There's gonna be a TV ad for all those games. I don't know. I'm not with it, guys. Please show us gameplay next E3. I'm not that interested.
Or concept art. Show us something.
I'd be more interested in the vision of the game. I mean, the trailer's nice, but I just want to see what we can expect, right?
Yes.
And obviously, especially for games like Deathloop being made by a Dishonored crew, I want to know what kind of gameplay mechanics are going to be in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, those type of things, concept art, plans, I mean, there's a reason
why... What kind of game it is,
there's a reason why when you buy something, when you buy a game or you buy a DLC or whatever, there's always concept art because people like that shit, man.
People like to see what the creative vision of the game is, aside from the marketing,
Yeah.
So, I guess now at things we didn't like... I'm not sure I liked the Avengers presentation in contrast to Final Fantasy VII. It looks like an interesting game.
It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat Final Fantasy VII getting a gameplay reveal. That's a huge thing for the project. Avengers is a weird title. I wrote an article about it. It's got this promise of being a multiplayer game with microtransactions, but also the heroes are free DLC. But also, the game is based around a cinematic story. So you can't do both. I feel like you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Unless they make it like a comic or something, right? And then they make like the main game is one big comic, and then they add
so if they do it, that's the thing. I was just thinking about how do you make money out of this? If you obviously you sell the game, right? But then if you want to add things post-launch, like extra characters, what are you gonna do? The game's not a multiplayer only affair.
No.
If you put Black Panther in the missions, none of it makes sense. It's not a story. Right?
How does he fit into what's going on right now?
What they'll have to do is make cinematic story packs. Like, here's, Black Panther's campaign. And it's maybe like 5-6 hours of a campaign. That'd be awesome. And I'd pay $20 for it.
Well, that's the only way they could really probably do it, right?
But they're telling us, all the heroes are going to come free. So what is it, right? What is it, Square Enix? Like, they said there's going to be hero skins. It's a single player game. What do I care what my character looks like? Just make them interesting from the start, right?
Yeah.
And then like player badge stuff, which reminds me of like Call of Duty killed cards, and I'm like, why would I pay for that? So I think The multiplayer like monetization scheme makes no sense. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the game. I really am, just so I can be proven wrong. Please prove me wrong, Square Enix.
It looks great. I'll tell you that.
It looks great from a presentation standpoint.
Yeah.
I just really hope that they start showing us more because it comes out next year, and I really hope that it doesn't bomb.
Don't be surprised if it gets delayed.
Don't be surprised if it gets delayed or if it bombs. Honestly, like it's gonna be a strange game.
Yeah.
Strange history for that game. So that's kind of it for things I think I liked, I didn't like. I wanted to talk about a couple things that came up for me in the whole mix.
Right.
Was hashtag bring back National Pokedex was a Twitter trending. Apparently Pokemon Sword and Shield is not letting you catch in the mall. You can't transfer them all.
Man, if you can't catch them all, then
I don't know what the appeal of the brand is at that point.
What's the point of playing?
I had heard people who were interested. Like GameStop said, the third most pre-ordered game ahead of E3 was going to be Pokemon Sword and Shield. This game's going to sell, right?
Pokemon is always going to sell.
But I'm not sure what the brand is going to do for itself at this point if the games are just lackluster experiences. Yeah. I'm not sold on the graphics. I'm not sold on the open world gameplay. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope there's a demo. One of the things that they could do is put out a demo on the Nintendo eShop. That's the thing about Pokemon Let's Go. It was a very different concept. Mm-hmm. You got a demo so you could try it, right?
Right.
And that game sold well. So I'm hoping there's a demo. I'm really hoping that they can sell me. I'm not convinced by playing it.
I think they'll figure it out. I mean, has there been a Pokemon game that you really didn't like?
I mean, I haven't played Pokemon since... well, that's the thing. That's the thing as well. You've got to sell me to buy the Pokemon game. Because I haven't played a Pokemon game since the Nintendo DS. You know,
mm-hmm.
like you got to sell me back on the franchise. Because the Nintendo Switch is this huge unified platform for Nintendo. It's handheld players and console players.
Yes.
Like TV play. So they should sell to people who've been out of the franchise for a while, and I just think everything they're doing right now doesn't line up with selling to people outside of the franchise.
Right.
And that's going to be questionable. I'm looking forward to critical reviews. Yeah, the core audience is increasingly slimmer, so we'll see what happens.
Well, they're getting older too, man.
Yeah, they're getting older too, and I think they just have different expectations of the game. But I genuinely don't think you can get rid of the whole Pokédex outside of the new region and expect me to buy it. I mean, unless the game is like an amazing masterpiece.
Yo, bro, you gotta try to be the very best that no one ever was. You know,
the very best. So that was one of the big plot points from Nintendo's Direct. They showed the new Smash Bros. Characters, obviously Banjo-Kazooie and the hero from Dragon Quest. Banjo-Kazooie is a huge announcement. That's absolutely insane. I'm amazed that they went for 2 announcements at once. They didn't have to do it, but they did.
Smart.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is getting a sequel.
No?
A sequel.
Oh, a sequel, that's right.
They are sequeling the game. It's in development. We got a crazy teaser trailer. Check it out. We'll link it.
Move.
That's gonna be holy crap. That's gonna be such a huge thing for people.
Yes.
That was probably the biggest announcement for a lot of people. Even in the face of Cyberpunk. Even in the face of Cyberpunk, people were like, "Oh my god, there's gonna be another one of these."
Yes.
And that's such a different promise for the franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of interesting stuff for Nintendo Switch. You like Contra? There was a Contra trailer for a new Contra game, and it's like a twin stick shooter. It looks like Dead Ops from Black Ops, and I'm like, what? It was definitely the weirdest thing. Like the trailer looks really rough. I'll link the trailer.
Some things should just be left where they are.
Yeah, there's a Contra Anniversary Collection. If you like Contra, now you can play them all on PC, on Nintendo Switch. I believe it's on Xbox and PS4. It's a collection of all of them, which is really cool, but the new one looks really weird.
Nostalgia, man. Nostalgia sells, man.
Nostalgia definitely sells. I don't know how well that one's going to sell, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
And yeah, I think Nintendo had a very strong presentation, but they kind of always do, right? They play on their own level.
Exactly. I mean, they have their own show and everything, so
they
do things on their
play
terms.
on their own level, on their own pace.
Yeah,
it's an interesting thing to see every.
Which is the smartest thing they could possibly do.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm really glad that Nintendo went all out, because that really keeps the spirit of E3.
Yes.
Even if they don't have even if they do the stream, I think the stream is an inventive thing. They use it very well. I think State of Play doesn't hold a candle to the way Nintendo's Directs are.
No, not at all.
They're these big, there's these really cute presentation events that really ooze Nintendo style. While
it feels more organic.
Yeah, it's definitely more organic. It's way more organic. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to everything there. Like my personal want to buy is going to be.
Well, what about that rumor?
Oh yeah, rumor that came out was Nintendo Switch Mini showed up on a Chinese accessory maker site. IGN later got an email from them. They said that it's not like a confirmed thing. They can't confirm or deny that it exists. Some people have pointed out that a lot
of they don't speak on rumor and speculation. You know.
Yeah. But one of the things that people pointed out was that the placeholder images, looked like some previous fan concept renders. So we're not sure. I mean, it's there, but it makes a lot of sense. You read the article for the full details. I think it'll explain it a lot better than we can right now. So I mean, just other stuff. One of the crazy things has been for us the surge of announcements outside of E3, like Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh yeah,
Shang
MK11, Shang Tsung. Hey, if you can get that for the cheap, because on PC I got it for the cheap. I'm not gonna lie, I got it for what, like $20.
You got it for about $18, something like that.
The DLC. So I mean, if you're on PC and you want to save some money, you know, you can definitely go ahead and check out all these different kind of sites.
Yeah, this guy got like a 50% discount on these reseller sites. Definitely give it a try, you know, if you're on PC.
Yeah, I'm not trying to endorse these guys, but you know, whoever's interested, you know, G2A, Fanatical probably has. No, Fanatical doesn't have it. I'm sorry, Kingwin.net. They have that, so you can get it for the cheap. But hey, Shang Tsung is fun.
Yeah,
he's cool. He's
a lot of great impressions out of Shang Tsung. The Mortal Kombat League is out. It's been an absolute hellhole for the past few days. I played and immediately got wrecked. Got wrecked by a couple of guys who were definitely a lot more experienced.
The Scorpion League, you know.
Yeah, the Scorpion League, the Sub-Zero League as well in some aspects, because I had played Scorpion first and the Sub-Zero second.
And the Noob League, you know.
Yeah, and the Noob Saibot League.
By the way, the Noob costume is fucking fire.
Oh yeah,
the classic one. Oh, it looks amazing, man. He looks so fucking creepy, man. But yeah, the DLC is nice. You know, of course, it starts with Shang Tsung. Then we're gonna go ahead and get Nightwolf, Sindel,
and
Spawn,
then Spawn, and after that we think it's Ash Williams and Terminator.
It's going to be.
The thing was the leak had said Joker as well, which is interesting. It might be they might show that off as like a first season pack, like a second combat pack.
That's what I think is gonna happen.
I'm really hoping it doesn't happen. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not big on the. How would you say it? The crossover characters in a game like this.
They shouldn't have released them first.
There's a huge core roster. Yeah, there's a huge core roster missing from this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, characters that people have been asking for. Obviously, they've been asking for Melina, even though I think she's dead, right? So
she's dead, but I mean,
they've been asking for her. I mean, in Mortal Kombat, nobody dies. Let's be honest. Nobody's ever
really dead.
So, Melina, Rain, people want Ermac.
Yeah,
you know,
Ermac was a big one.
So, you know, yeah, even though Shang Tsung can turn into these guys for one move, which is cool, it looks great, but there's no need to add guest characters now to sell the game when the game just came out.
The game is selling itself, and frankly, the fan base.
It's the highest selling game this year so far.
Yeah, it is, and it's
so why would you even do that?
The point, right?
You don't need to do that now. When the game's starting to decline a little bit, you put in some favorites and then you add a little more guest characters. There's no need for them to add guest characters now. It just doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? But I understand, you know, now that it's Warner Brothers,
right?
And you know they have the ability to go ahead and you know, talk to all the other franchises and talk to, you know, these creators and get the licensing. I get it, right? But
we get it.
You don't need that now. I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't need to do it in the future. You shouldn't do it in the future, but at this moment, you know, give the people what they want. You know, they want to see, you know, Rain. They want to see Ermac. They want to see Melina. You know, all these other previous characters that you know weren't even in the last game. What about Smoke? You know, so you don't need to do that right now.
Yeah,
but I get it. You know, you want to go ahead and make the game a little bit more popular. Right, because Mortal Kombat's always been pop culture. Mortal Kombat is pop culture. That's the one game that is so pop culture that, you know, it makes sense for them to get these guest characters, right? You're not going to see those type of guest characters, obviously, in a Street Fighter game.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not
even close.
It's not that kind of pop culture. It is part of pop culture, but it doesn't incorporate it.
Presentation.
It doesn't incorporate pop culture like Mortal Kombat does, right?
Yeah. Mortal Kombat lives in the moment. It always has.
It is. It's a pop culture kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping we get to see more of those characters soon. I'm hoping Nightwolf and Sindel come sooner than never. And
probably. I mean,
I'm hoping like a month. I'm hoping like 2 months. I'm hoping like in time for the.
I mean, I don't even know how long the release window for all these characters is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 6 months. They haven't said anything.
I'm hoping it's about 6 months.
I think it'd be smart if they release one each month, right? Yeah, of course, right now we have the early access started this past Tuesday the 18th, right? So there's a 1 week early access that's going on. So we have some footage also on the site if you want to check out Shang Tsung gameplay,
check it
and
out.
also how to buy,
How
right?
to buy,
We do go
some
over that
gameplay.
too. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of costumes, right? They have the Combat League right now with a lot of exclusive skins, right? Mostly red skins, like blood skins, right? So that's going on
so
right
there's
now.
exclusive skins for the Combat League. So for you guys who don't like grinding towers like me, right? I'm not on that life. I know Aliens is.
Oh yeah, man.
Then,
AI for the win.
AI for the win. Then feel free to check it out. Definitely give it a try. You get tons of rewards for the challenges. You get exclusive skins for moving up the rank. Everybody's right now, like when I was playing, everybody was in the bottom 2 ranks. So it's definitely going to be kind of crazy. You know, for now, maybe it's probably gonna be crazy even going into next season, which is gonna be in about a month. They're doing
it's every month, yeah.
So I mean,
which is cool because it keeps the game fresh.
It keeps the game super fresh, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing some more, giving some more matches, really getting better at the game. I'm a big Shao Kahn player right now, and I don't think that's gonna change for me. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to finally being able to invest in the game because this is this is the turning point for me for the game. I spent a lot of time playing Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game I spent a lot of time online with, and that was kind of to my detriment. I didn't love the online. It has kind of a very poor netcode system. Yeah, kind of a very, very poor netcode system. You have to have perfect conditions to have any real playable matches. And Mortal Kombat doesn't have that issue. I can log in at any point in the game and get playable games and really enjoy the game online.
The game is good. Yeah. The game is definitely good.
So now that there's rewards tied to the online system, it's definitely my moment to start playing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great.
Yeah, I think I might play a little more Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung he's surprisingly really fun.
Yeah.
I normally play Sub-Zero. That's usually the guy I've been playing since the first game. I'm 32 now, you know, so I've been playing Mortal Kombat since I was like 6 or 7, right? So I've always liked Sub-Zero. He's always caught my attention. The Blue Ninja, it just looks cool, you know. So, you know, I think I might play a little more Shang. Shang is pretty cool. I like Shang. You know, I like his spacing. I like the way, you know, he has his 50-50s, like the little pokes that he could do.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it, man. And stuff. I'm really hoping that they open up his toolkit and ranked because tournament variations have been kind of the issue with Mortal Kombat. There's a lot of weird things that they don't implement. None of Shang Tsung's ninja transformations are in his ranked variations.
I don't think so, no.
At all. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things about the character. You just don't have any motion to play him online. No motivation, you know.
No.
And I'm hoping they really open up rewards for people who want to play those custom variations because you basically don't get to participate in the same rewards. And
you don't get to play the way you want to play.
Yeah, you know, for playing the way you want to play, and Mortal Kombat definitely is a much better game for letting you play with your custom variations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all the announcements. I think in terms of outside of that stuff that we cover is going to be sports. The NBA draft.
The NBA draft last night, man. I mean, you know, the next great generation of basketball players are not in the NBA. I mean, you had the top 3 players. First starting with Zion Williamson going to New Orleans, right? So that's going to be interesting, especially now that they're going to go ahead and trade Anthony Davis, right, to the Lakers and get a lot of assets in return, right? Lonzo Ball, also Brandon Ingram. We got to see how he, you know, turns out after his blood clot, but you know, they're going to have a nice, strong core. You know, they could keep Julius Randle. I mean, you got 3 previous Lakers on the team right there. You know, so I mean, I think. As long as they can focus on, you know, developing each other as a unit, that team is going to be really good in the next 5 years, I think. They could definitely contend in the future, right, as long as they can all stay healthy and they all stick to the plan. Right, of course, Memphis, they went ahead and drafted Ja Morant, right, and, you know, they're definitely on the rebuild. He's been considered one of the best prospects in the draft by Jerry West, you know, former Laker great, architect of, you know, of course, the Golden State Warriors, now in the Clippers, but he's been an architect for a lot of teams. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he also was an architect for Memphis, but that guy, he's a logo, man. At the end of the day, when you look at the NBA logo, that's Jerry West, man. There's a reason he's there. You know, he's the only guy to ever win a Finals MVP when his team lost the Finals, right? So it's there, you know what I'm saying? So the guy knows what he's talking about. It's just a matter of, you know, Ja Morant living up to the expectations that have been put upon him. And then, of course, finally, my Knicks, you know, man. They finally went ahead and drafted somebody that's definitely worthwhile, RJ Barrett. You know, he set the ACC single season scoring record last year. He averaged 22.6 points per game. So he's the most NBA ready player that was available in this year's draft. So, you know, we got to see what's going to happen, right? Free agency, right, starts June 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, you know, we got to see what's going to happen. If Durant's going to stay in Golden State, what's Kawhi Leonard going to do? Is he going to, you know, re-sign with Toronto after winning the championship? What's Kyrie Irving going to do? Is he going to go to Brooklyn? Is he going to go to the Lakers? Is he going to go to the Knicks? Kemba Walker is also a big name. Is he going to stay in Charlotte? Is he going to go to Dallas? Is he going to go to New York, or is he going to go to LA? Jimmy Butler, of course. Is he going to go to LA? Is he going to stay in Philly? There's a lot of guys, you know, there's a lot of things up in the air. You know, right now, next season, the NBA, especially in, you know, the Western Conference, is wide open right now. You know, you have the Lakers, you know, practically getting ready to go on a run. I mean, this is going to be LeBron's last run. So if you are a LeBron fan, enjoy this, because after this, he will decline. Last year, you saw him first get injured, his first, I would say, major injury in his career. So it's going to happen. You know, this is his last hurrah. So if you're a LeBron fan, or you love basketball and you appreciate what he brings to the game in terms of IQ and getting others involved, enjoy this, because this is the last of a dying breed. Now, as you know, basketball is a positionless sport. You have players that can play all 5 positions at a time. I mean, LeBron can do it. So basketball has changed. So once he's out of the league, right? Carmelo's already out of the league. Dwayne Wade's already out of the league. Chris Bosh is already out of the leagues. You know, Chris Paul is going to be next eventually. So this is going to be the end of this era. And once this new era comes into full effect, you know, the era that includes Lonzo Ball and even, you know, Zion, it's going to change basketball forever. You will not be able to recognize it as you once did, because during this era, you still have elements of the previous era, right? Some players with the back to the basket, isolation players like Carmelo Anthony, but that's going to end, man. It's going to be more fast-paced threes, dunks. Forget it. You're not going to be able to recognize basketball anymore. It's going towards a 5 seconds or less philosophy of European basketball that we've seen with Mike D'Antoni and his teams, but you're going to see it. It's not going to be the same anymore. So enjoy this last run from LeBron, right? This is going to be, for sure, I give him 2 years. Even though he has 3 years left with the Lakers on his contract, 2 more years, man. Because then, you know, he's going to be, 38 by the end of his contract, or 37. I mean, that's a lot of mileage to put on a guy of his size. So I give it 2 years. These are going to be the last 2 great years, or at least very good years of LeBron's career. And then after that, Anthony Davis will take over the Lakers, and we'll see what goes, right? So right now, the NBA is wide open, right? If Kawhi decides to stay with Toronto, then, you know, I would definitely put them as a favorites in the East. There's nobody in the East. Milwaukee's not ready, and neither is Philadelphia. Brooklyn can possibly be a threat if they can get 2 free agents, but, you know, the Knicks, they also have a shot too if they can get 2 free agents. It's that fast. You know, if either of those 2 teams were to get 2 marquee free agents, they shoot right up to the top of the Eastern Conference and can possibly dethrone the Raptors, right? So, you know, the NBA is wide open. So let's see what happens. You know, the draft, of course, was yesterday. Like I said, the next great generation of basketball players are now in the NBA. So let's see how they go ahead and produce. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys, just overall, we do a lot of gaming content. We do a lot of reviews. Just keep in mind that we're always doing sports content as well. It's definitely one of the reasons to stay tuned, because we cover all the major leagues. We look at them and we see what's going on. We give you recaps. We give you highlights. It's one of the best things about our original video content. Check out our YouTube channel, of course.
Absolutely.
You can get the podcast on our YouTube as well. And
follow us on Instagram, Gotta Be Legend XCOM. Follow us on Twitter, Gotta Be Legend. Also on Facebook, Gotta Be Legend. And YouTube the same, right? Gotta Be Legend. Yeah. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere right now. Check out our site, GottaBeLegend.com. Obviously, that's where we're going to be putting all the content. That's where you see it first.
Tell your friends. Tell your
friends. Tell everybody. You know,
tell your dog. Tell your cat.
And for motivation, I do want to talk about what's coming up next for us. Just finalizing the podcast. We're definitely going to be doing this again sometime soon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
and just trying to keep up to date with everything. One of the things that we're planning on doing in the big term is Destiny 2. We had talked about Destiny 2
big time
on a come up.
I'm going to be back on that.
We're going to be back on that. We're going to be putting some video content. I know that my friend here, Aliens, is going to do a lot of PvE content. I'm very interested in the PvP aspect. I was big on Halo back in the day, so it's going to be one of my motivations jumping back in. Stuff you can expect immediately. World of Warcraft Classic has a beta test, a public test demo ending today at time of recording, and we're going to give you the first hour of gameplay. Definitely check it out. If it's not your kind of game, you'll be able to see it. You'll see the raw experience.
You might know somebody that is interested.
You might not know what it is. Everybody else might know what it is, so you can check it out. You'll see what it's about. The other thing is Dota Underlords. So the big race for the auto chess genre has begun. Teamfight Tactics is out for League of Legends. It's going to be their version of auto chess. Tons of streamers were on it. It was crazy amount of sponsored content on Twitch last night when I looked at it. Dota Underlords is out on open beta for everybody, so download it on your mobile phone, on your desktop. It's going to be crossplay for everybody on mobile phone, desktop. It's a Steam compatible thing. You just need a Steam account. It's a free game. And for that, we got a game of Dota Underlords you're going to be able to check out. You can check out the game. You can see how it plays, what you can expect, how it's different from auto chess. And that's going to be one of the more immediate things. Stuff coming in the next few days. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers is going to be the biggest MMO release, I think, in the past 2 years. I think Battle for Azeroth is going to have a hard time competing with this game in the long term. We're going to have Battle for Azeroth content. You can expect our summary of the patch notes for 8.2 later today. And FFXIV is going to get tons of video content, tons of community spotlights. It's one of the things I'm really passionate about, Final Fantasy XIV. If you've never seen the MMO, we're going to be bringing videos of the expansion, Shadowbringers, bosses, dungeons, just things that are coming out in the game. And hopefully we'll be able to stay tuned to that game for a long time, because it looks like it's going to be one of the biggest releases.
Yeah.
In terms of immediate games, a little smaller scale, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is going to be that other Kickstarter game aside from Shenmue and Phoenix Point and stuff like that. This game has been highly anticipated by people who played Castlevania games back in the day. One of the producers on the later Castlevania franchise, some like Portrait of Ruin and stuff like that. And the game's getting really great reviews on Steam. Over 2,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Check that out.
One of the biggest games. It's going to be a vindication for Kickstarter games. So we're looking forward to playing it, giving you some gameplay, giving you a review.
Big Castlevania fan here.
Big game.
Symphony of the Night, man. They got to remake that, man.
Absolutely. So it's going to be.
I gotta play my boy Alucard, man.
It's one of the biggest games, I think, that's going to be coming out of that. And it's really a promise towards Kickstarter games once again, because this game was crowdfunded. It took a long time to come out. It's finally out, and people are liking it. So we're going to be giving you a review. And, of course, other stuff along the way. Whenever we see something, we'll try to give it a pop-up. And,
expect some Shang Tsung character tower, classic tower footage, right? So you can go in and see at least what his ending is. Right, and see how that affects the MK lore. So do expect that within the next day or two, right? So that's going to be available, so you can check that out. And
and we'll be here again probably on the podcast to talk about what's next. We do expect things to slow down a little bit in terms of gaming announcements, so we'll be able to go over things in a little more detail. And that's one of the things that we're going to be try to focus on, is try to get things in detail. Obviously, the news cycle was huge for these games and the big publications, right?
Yeah,
but we're going to go back and we're going to try to look at the little details, the things you might have missed, the gameplay breakdown, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And, we're talking about things coming out after E3, so everything I named is not even announced at E3, Everything I just said was not even announced at E3.
And, by the way, those of you that do like to play Battlefield, right, there's going to be a lot of DLC coming in. Battle of Iwo Jima, you're going to be able to do things like that. Just keep that in mind, right? There's going to be a lot of free content coming in, if I'm mistaken, towards September and October, right? Yep. So just keep that in mind if you like playing Battlefield. That's going to be available. Also, these new video cards that are coming out, the super cards.
Yeah, the super cards. It's really funny story just ended out. Roller Champions was that game that Ubisoft demoed at their E3 presentation, and they offered you to try it out. And one of the weird things was that when I looked at the hardware specs recommended for the game, I was thinking about covering it. I saw the listing for a Super 2060, and I wasn't sure what to make of that. Because that was way ahead of time. That was like 2 weeks before we started hearing about it. I started hearing about the cards yesterday.
I got fucked, man. I just bought an RTX 2060, and now there's a Super one coming out.
But yeah, there's going to be like a Super 2060, and I saw it there, and I wasn't really sure what to think of it, so, I got to get on the ball for this kind of reports, because that was a major leak from Ubisoft showing us that there was definitely something called a Super 2060 about a week and a half before they started wanting to talk about it.
Little leak right there,
Little leak right there. So I mean, yeah, long term, tons of stuff we're going to be talking about, and we'll be back here next time. I'm pretty sure we'll be here probably doing another game related thing. We'll see. You know, we're going to try to keep things going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So check out the site if it's easier for you. Check out our Twitter, our Facebook. Again, give us a follow, retweet our stuff if you like it, help us out, and we'll see you guys next time.
That's right. GottaBeLegend.com. For SHIB, this has been Aliens, episode 1, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you later, guys.
Peace out.